You know, when you read something over and over again and it still doesn't make sense, and for so long, I used to think, is that because I'm dyslexic and I'm not processing it properly? Is that because it's sort of like going around the houses before it gets to the bit? But no, this is just because it's come out the mouths of Labour. I don't think it's ever going to make sense. It doesn't matter how many times I look at it, rethink it, rework it. I'm like, no, that's still absolutely cocked up. Oh, please do like, subscribe and share. We're on like 48 and a bit thousand. I think we could get to 50,000 by Christmas. Imagine that. That'd be amazing. We hear on the grapevine, and we don't hear officially because we don't hear anything officially, do we? So we always hear through the media, and then we slam the media for hearing it because somebody says, well, actually, we don't know whether that was true in the first place or not. It's like, hang on a minute. What are we doing here? Are we leaking things for people to report and then going, oh, well, it might not have been true? Or are we saying stuff? What are we doing? You know, you can't have it both ways. Comes back to that T-shirt, pick a lane. So Rachel Reeves and Keir Starmer have apparently ripped up their plans to raise income tax. Now, people are saying, well, we didn't know they were going to do that in the first place. I'm like, well, where have you been? Where in the name of God have you been for the past, I don't know how long? Because Rachel Reeves herself changed her rhetoric about 3 weeks ago, and we started changing the language, and it's so subtle that they think that we won't notice. And when we talk about tough choices and we don't necessarily answer the question, it's also that we can't be held to account. It's like I said to you yesterday, Morgan McSweeney was neither directly nor indirectly involved in the campaign to oust Keir Starmer. So by saying he was neither directly or indirectly involved in the briefing against him, we're not saying he wasn't. We're not saying, factually a statement, Morgan McSweeney wasn't involved. We're fudging it. We're going around it. We're going around the houses so we can never be held to account. So Rachel Reeves has been changing the narrative very subtly over the past few weeks in the lead up to the budget. And she's been allowing people to think that this is going to happen by refusing to answer the question. So the answer that we always get is a chancellor never reveals what they're going to do in the budget before the budget. But that's okay if you're going to stick to that little sort of, we're not going to reveal what we're going to do. But in which case, you may not leak or ponder on in the public eye or muse in the public eye what you might do. Because as you, Rachel Reeves, well know, Rachel Reeves and Keir Starmer knows how the media world works. I mean, they'll have had media training for the past 14 years being in opposition. They'll have seen it. They'll have lived it. They'll have used it. They'll have been part of it. So here we are, now denying any wrong. We are, the bastions of moral fibre, and we will not be held accountable apart from the fact that we've actually fed this shit ourselves. So Rachel Reeves was even saying the other day that, if she has to break manifesto, it's because of the cat. It's because of somebody else. It's not because of her. But we're even musing that. So we cannot say that it wasn't a plan, because it clearly was. This stuff doesn't come out into the ether just in a puff of smoke from a magician's wand. It comes out into the ether because somebody wants it out there, and they're using it to gauge opinion. They're using it to gauge what we will do, how we will react. And of course, the reaction has not been good. So they've realised that actually, whereas before they could ignore stuff, now they really can't, because they can see that the tables are turning, the groundswell is shifting towards more and more discontent with the government. And if they were to put 2p on the pound in income tax, there would be a revolt. So what they've done and allowed to be leaked is they've said, we've ripped up the plans. So instead what they're doing is moving the threshold. So the threshold will move further down. So you need to be earning less money now to be taxed, which is adding tax. I mean, you can dress it up however you like, but if you were earning a certain amount before that wasn't being taxed and now you are being taxed, you're being taxed. So just by moving everything down a bit isn't that we're not taxing, we are taxing. And we're taxing the very people that we say we're not going to tax. We're taxing the very people that we say we're going to protect. So of course you've got people at the lower end of the pay scale, me, in case anyone was interested, who is now going to be taxed more. So I am being taxed. Thanks very much, Rach. I mean, I'm not surprised. It doesn't surprise me in the slightest. But what does this mean? Well, it just means that you're changing who you're hitting, simply, honestly. And we're not cutting spending. So we're still going ahead with digital ID because we've got 2 billion quid to do that. Where from? I don't know. Do you know? Do you know where this came from? I don't know where this came from. Somebody knows where this came from. So we've got 2 billion quid to do that. So we obviously do have some money somewhere in the bank account, but we're now going to tax the poorest people. Okay? Well done, Rach. And what do you want us to do? What do you want us to say about this? Do we want to say, because the headline will be, I'm not adding 2p onto tax. That's what the headline will be. The headline will be, I'm not raising taxes. But you are. You're raising them on the other end of the scale. Now, whether you agree with that, whether I agree with that is immaterial. It's what they're doing. But it's the language around it that allows them to do, smoke and mirrors. I mean, I've written so many things about this. Cutting the thresholds, lower income now paying more tax. It's increasing. It's taxing more working people. And with the whole U-turn, the thing that I think, and so many of you in the comments will say, Anna, this is planned. This is what they wanted. And I honestly... I'm with you. They wanted us to be frightened. They wanted us to be scared. If you put something out in the press that will worry people and scare people, when you turn around and say, oh, but we're not going to do it now, you're a saviour, aren't you? Well done. You're the good guy. You've turned it around. So all of that fear and all of that anxiety that you went through was worth it, because we can come out smelling of roses and looking good. I mean, it's too late in the day for that for Labour. It was too late in the day for that for the Conservatives. Looks what happened to them. I mean, Labour haven't learnt from that, have they? But if you wanted to learn from that, Labour, just have a look. So it didn't work well for the Conservatives. It's not working well for Labour. Who knows whether it will work well for Reform or not? We shall see, shan't we? And Labour are trying to spin that one on, I mean, Alistair Campbell yesterday said, be very careful what you wish for, because the dangers of reform. So we're now already using danger and reform, far right and reform. The language that we are using from the Labour Party is already inciting fear, because that's what they want. They want you to think that the alternative to them is so much worse that it's almost worth putting up with the anxiety and the fear and the crippling financial insecurity, because the alternative, from what they say, is a danger. I think a lot of people are at the point where they're like, I'll take it seriously. It's a bit like when you're at the fair and your kids want to go in the House of Horrors and you categorically absolutely do not, but it's a choice between that and one of those things that goes upside down and makes you feel sick and your entire bodily organs come out your mouth, so you go, yeah, I'll do the House of Horrors. It's the lesser of two evils, isn't it? So I think that's where most people are at. But this whole, we're not taxing people, it's just not true. And we'll now have the spin from Labour where they'll turn it on the media. It was the media's fault. They said it. We never said we were going to do it. We didn't say it. Well, do you honestly think we're that thick? You did. You gave it out. And if you think, if we all think, and we've all seen the furore over the BBC and impartiality and bias, and it's not just the BBC, let's be brutally honest. I mean, I always cite Beth Rigby from Sky, why does she get away with it? I mean, she is practically having the Starmers and the Reeves round for Christmas, and yet we're not allowed to notice that, but we do notice that. But again, Beth is not unusual, and they work in this stuff. They go to the Westminster bar after work. They all get together. I used to work at Millbank. So at the end of when I'd done my show on Sky, you would see all the politicians in the bar. I mean, I'd be heading for the exit as quickly as I could. I found it incredibly intimidating. There was a lot of guffawing. But I would get out as quickly as I could, as there were steady streams of politicians and journalists coming in. I mean, if you think this stuff isn't cooked over a pint at the Westminster bar, then, even June Slater gets to go and have dinner at Westminster. I ask you. And it's all subsidised as well. They get to have a pint for half the price of a pint. Why anyone in the British pubs that we can't afford to go to, we're not subsidised, but they're subsidised at Westminster. And it doesn't matter what political party you're in, you will benefit from that. Slightly going on a tangent, but you can see what I'm saying here. It's a nice life if you can get it, Jack. I mean, I sort of almost feel like when people say to me, you should be an MP, and I'm like, no, because I'd have to work with them. But part of me is going, do you know what? I might give it a shot, because if I give it a shot and I see all the perks that the MPs get, I'll give it to everyone else. I'll say, well, hang on a minute. If they can have a subsidised bar and a subsidised restaurant in Westminster because they're doing their job, can we have one in Morrison's? Because, as you know, somebody who's feeding the family, I'm doing my job, so I'm going to Morrison's to get the food to feed my family because I'm doing my job, and at that particular moment I can't eat at home, can I? Because I've had to travel to Morrison's. So can you subsidise my Morrison's lunch? Do you mind? Would it be okay? I mean, obviously, there'll be a steady stream of vitriol and why that's a ridiculous idea and you absolutely may not, and don't be so petty, woman. Well, whatever. I'm just throwing it out there that it looks a little bit double standardy, doesn't it? And I had a thought right on the tip of my tongue there about all of that, and I've instantly forgotten it. No, I haven't forgotten it. It's come straight back to me, see? And I didn't even put a patch on this morning. So, I have seen a post on a Facebook site which is setting up a petition to go to Parliament, which is asking for a 6% reduction in Bridget Phillipson's salary. Now, you'll have worked this out already because you lot are a clever lot. She won't have done. Bridget Phillipson does not represent 6% of the UK children who go to school in the independent sector. She only represents the 94%. Well, the figures always change a bit, don't they? Is it 94%? Is it 93%? It depends which broadcast outlet you're listening to, because, of course, there are actually no official figures. But either way, it's 94 or 93%. So she needs either a 6 or 7% reduction in her salary because she is not working for the children in the independent sector. Now, if we applied that to all the ministers, I think we would be seeing quite a big decrease in salary across the board, because so many of them are working for one pocket of people but not another pocket of people. But our salary is for all people. So if we're not representing all people, then we shouldn't be being paid 100%, should we? Now, I realise that's going to be a really difficult concept for Rachel Reeves to get because, you know, maths isn't her strong point, but I'm sure some of the others will understand that. And I'm fully supporting this petition. So when it's up and running, I'll share it with you. And we can start with Bridget Phillipson. And we can go across the board to all of them. And you're damn right before someone says, oh, well, it's only Labour. Whoever comes in next will do it for them too, because this is obviously about what we're putting up with at the minute in the political climate at the minute. But you can rest assured, any other party, whoever gets in, this narrative will remain. It's called holding you to account. It's called making you do what you said you were going to do when you took our vote. And I say took our vote because I think there is a lot of taking and there's a lot less giving. Now, there are some awesome MPs out there. There are some good eggs, and across the board, I think we would be being very unkind and very blinkered if we were to say that all Labour MPs were shit, all Conservative MPs were shit, all Green, etc. There are some very, very good, passionate people out there on the ground that really do want to do this for the local people in their community. And I think we do need to remember that, but what we need to do is champion them. We need to make them the norm, not the minority. Because by doing so, I actually think that we could get a slightly... You know what it's like when the words come out of your mouth and you go, as soon as I'm saying it, that's not true. I'm optimistic, you know, I'm a bit more of a glass half full person than a glass half empty. And let's be totally honest, we are not going to see overnight a change in the way this country is run, ever, are we? I mean, it's how it is. Politics across the world is completely screwed. So we can only hope for the best for what we can get. We've got to work with what you got, don't you? So that's where we're at this morning. The whole Rachel Reeves bullshit is just, sorry about the language, it really riles me. My mum gets so cross. You've got so many words in your vocabulary, Anna. Do you really need to swear so much? Sorry, Mum. It's just that the brain goes faster than the mouth sometimes, and it's all a little bit. Or is it the mouth goes faster than the brain? Clearly neither on this day, is it? Anyway, back to Storm Claudia. I've got a load of washing on the go which needs ironing, and we need to follow what's happening with Sarah Cox. Go, Sarah! She's reached 4 million. I mean, just this morning she's reached 4 million. It's phenomenal. Well done, Sarah. And I really, really hope that the government are watching what this woman is doing and taking note. This is how to bring communities together. Sarah Cox is leading the way on that, and I am 100% behind her.